Before we get started, I would like to say that my current makeup style is inspired by some of the girls I follow on the Chinese social media app Xiaohongshu, but I do change it up a little bit. Now, on with the rest of the video. First, I am starting off barefaced, and I do look a little bit dead, but after that, I start by doing my eyebrows, and I like to use a really precise, fine point eyebrow pencil because I just find that it has more control and it's also easier to make my eyebrows look neater. I just follow the shape of my eyebrows, and I do also like to extend out my tail a little bit because I shaved it too short on accident. And afterwards, I just clean up with some concealer and I will blend that out with either a sponge or my fingers. Before I put on my base makeup, I like to use a hydrating primer because my face is very dry. After primer, I use a combination of a face tint and concealer to mix my foundation color because I am terrible at finding my shade. I also just prefer tints or tinted moisturizers over full coverage foundations because I feel like it's a little nicer on the skin, you know what I mean? It allows my skin to breathe more and it's not super heavy, which is pretty nice. Now I am using a lighter colored concealer to try to make my under eye bags less dark, and I also use that as a base for my eyeshadow to cover up my eyeball veins. And afterwards, I just set both my eyes and the rest of my face with a small amount of loose powder. Moving on, I am contouring my nose with some brown eyeshadow because I refuse to buy actual contour powder. I think brown eyeshadow works pretty great, and you know, eyeshadow is just good for anything. I mean, I use it as highlighter, contour, blush sometimes, and I also do use it for lipstick, which you'll see later on. I like to kind of press my brush with my fingertips together, if that makes sense, to make the lines a little bit more precise. And I just find that this has helped make my nose contour less wobbly looking. And afterwards, I use some of that same loose powder to clean up my contour, and I just leave it there as I do my eye makeup. Now, moving on to my favorite part, which is eye makeup. I am first starting off with using a light pink blushy color as a transition shade, and it looks kind of orangey because the makeup brush I use is incredibly filthy. To add more depth and to deepen the outer crease parts, I like to mix a tiny bit of red with that same pink blushy color I used as the transition shade, and I find that it just helps make your eyes pop a little bit more. And I also did drag a little bit of that onto my eye bag area because I do like to draw on some ethnicity. After eyeshadow, I like to draw out my lash line downwards by using a dark brown eyebrow pencil. If you wanted a softer look, you can use a lighter brown eyebrow pencil, and the one I am using, I just used whatever I had on hand because I didn't want my eyebrow pencil to go to waste, even though it's like 2 years old and very much expired. This step is completely optional, but I also like to use a maroon/burgundy eyeshadow along the part where I drew on the lash line, and later on I do smoke it out to make it have a more blurred effect. Using a burnt orange/sienna shade, I draw on the ethnicity by kind of squinting or smiling a little bit so that my natural eye bag pops out. I draw tiny little triangles at the inner corners with a dark brown shade after that. This step isn't absolutely necessary, but I also like to put a little bit of a lighter colored concealer towards the inner parts of my eyes. I find that this really brightens up my eye makeup, and I also like to add a little bit of shimmery eyeshadow. Now this next step is an absolute game changer, and that is drawing on the bottom eyelashes. I've noticed that this is a pretty popular trend on Xiaohongshu and it looks very cute, so I have decided to also blend it into my own eye makeup. I draw on the eyelashes by doing quick little flicks, and I recommend being very light-handed. For eyeliner, I've been doing a more simpler style than how I used to do it, and I literally just draw a simple little wing. That's it. I usually try to start off thin because I tend to mess up my eyeliner pretty easily, but if I start off thin, I can just make it thicker to fix it along the way. Now I am curling my lashes and applying mascara. I like to cut a single pair of fake lashes in half, and I just stick those two parts at the ends of my eyes. I do the rest of my base makeup after I finish my eye makeup, and right now I am just applying some blush. I first concentrated at the center of my cheeks, then I gradually kind of blend it out towards my cheekbones. I do put a lot of it on my nose as well because I am, in fact, going for that Rudolph look. To top things off, I put a tiny bit of shimmery eyeshadow at my nose bridge. Lastly, I do my lips. I begin by applying a tiny bit of concealer to the outer parts of my lips because it helps create a base for an ombre look. For the second layer, I use an orangey red color, and preferably the second layer should be a more liquidy and moisturizing type of lip product. For the last and final layer, I just use this reddish brown eyeshadow towards the very inner parts of my lips. I used a flat paintbrush to apply it, but any flat brush would work perfectly fine. I apply a tiny bit of lip balm as well for that more subtle glossy look. And that, my friends, concludes the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please thumbs up. I mean, you can also smash that subscribe button. You don't have to smash it. You can just, like, pat it on the head. But I hope you enjoyed this week's video, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.